Welcome to another CIRF report. This one, very important that you watch this one through. This one is very different than what we've been seeing in the past. The DreamBot, we'll just go ahead and get right into it. But if this is the first time that you're seeing one of these shows, I highly recommend you look at the beginner's guide, which is in the section below. Let's zoom into the DreamBot, and what we're seeing playing out in the astrology, which we'll see next, is a whole bunch of regulation, law, supremacy, even religion, code, religion symbology is all in there. And I separated those out, although I started having them as one big old meme. But the red arrows is by far the biggest meme, and that's just law, government, supremacy, I own you. And I included the world in here. So it's like world government and all the words kind of associated with that, kind of big brother watched, and you're paying your money to the world government. Totally. It's like absolute supremacy. Okay. And then I started to notice like a religion meme in here with fish and sun, and that, the ithkis or whatever that Greek word is, with the symbol of the fish is the son of God. We also have the Virgin. That's very central theme to not just Christianity, but others as well. And then the word code. So, and then I also included here blonde. Oops, I'm using my own little cursor. Sorry. Blonde down here is just interesting how even like the ancient Mayans who never had, so this is supposedly, of course, I'm not a historian or anything, but just read that there's a lot of these ancient civilizations that happened to have like a blonde-headed, blue-eyed god when supposedly the culture had never seen anything like that until the conquistadors or the new folks showed up in the land. So that's interesting. And it does have to do with religion, especially ancient code and all that. So, and then it has to do with law and supremacy and, in the world. And get this, in the blue arrows is stall, stop, halt. It's like, blank, stall, nowhere, stops, lower. It's about ending. It's kind of like an ending or a halting, a pausing of something. All right, let's go see what the astrology looks like. Whoops, I kind of have to do this first. And this is going to be Monday, the 8th, April 8th. And we have a trine, moon trine Pluto, in Pluto over the South Node, which is the past. It could be your ancient karmic past, but nonetheless the past. So lots of deep emotional stuff coming up. And this is in the tropical Capricorn. So that influence is going to be very practical, kind of black or white, yes or no. But that when you combine that with Pluto, which is, could be like destroyer of kind of the dark, very deep stuff in your life or in the subconscious, that could be coming out. And because it's over the South Node, maybe it has to do with the past, but it is the moon. So we're talking about kind of a fleeting thing that's early in the morning, tomorrow morning. And what does this have to do with our DreamBot memes here? What I did was kind of, if you can see this up here in the right-hand corner, law, supremacy, religious, and symbols. Some people think that religion was designed to control people. And it is kind of true in a way. We kind of self-police each other with these, my God is better than your God kind of thing. And that turns out to be dogma. And when we get into a stalemate with dogma, we get into fights and escalation and stuff like that. So that's what we're working up to here. But on Monday, this is really the only thing going on in the sky. We have an Earth trine. So Tauruses are very known for, getting headstrong, and that's Dogma. So this whole meme together, when you put all these things together, there's not a whole lot of religious stuff on Mondays, but just wait, because on Tuesday, and I'm looking at a moth, I've got my windows open to catch some of this beautiful spring air. This is Tuesday the 9th, and we've got all of the Dreambot symbols here. So law and supremacy, well, that's in a couple places. You have Moon conjunct Mars. That could be a fighter, but it also could be supremacy. I'm better than you are. And here is the there's two squares here. One of them is on Venus and the other's on Neptune, followed by Mercury, but that's on Wednesday. But the squares here are right at the midday. So you've got the conjunction first, early in the morning. So you're going to be waking up to this kind of masculine stance, and that's the law supremacy thing, maybe even the stall and halt. And the stall and halt is also encouraged by these squares. And the moon square Venus is like not really getting along with other people, particularly loved ones, or maybe you're just confused by them, especially because these two squares are happening pretty much at the same time, Neptune square and the Venus square. And so, everything is dreamy. Your expectations of others are in question. You have these unreasonable expectations, or you're trying to rationalize when mind isn't working all that well. Neptune likes to confuse things. And so you got confusing relationships here, which really makes for law supremacy, especially my law. If I've got my boundaries, especially with that Mars conjunction, I'm going to be standing up for myself, standing my ground, getting bullheaded. Keep in mind, the moon just came out of Taurus, tropical Taurus. It's in Sidereal Taurus now. That's where the solution is. Hint, hint. But as far as Dogma goes itself, I think it's all around this Tuesday energy. It's all about Dogma. And we have to realize that, Dogma is not helpful. Give me, if I'm wrong, give me some evidence, give me some philosophy in the comments below where Dogma is appropriate and advances our humanity and advances our love of each other, or, pursues better knowledge or better science or whatever. But I don't see that happening. And I think Dogma really deteriorates our connectedness. And probably the reason why we've had genocide in the past is because leaders have been able to create a bunch of collective dogma. But anyway, I think that's what we have in these 2 days of Dreambot runs. And so let's look at the solution. And I've already kind of hinted at that. But the solution here, we go to the sidereal. Why do we do this? Well, first of all, check the beginner's guide. But just to refresh everybody's memory, the sidereal is where the stars actually are and the planets are at any given point. So on Tuesday, when you see the moon, it's not going to be in Gemini in these tropical. It's actually, when you look at your app in the real night sky, as you're standing looking at the sky, it's going to be in Taurus. And so what this energy is doing is, if you get in alignment with this energy, you're going to be congruent. You're going to play congruent. You're going to live congruent with the stars, as above, so below. This is the energy happening. So it's kind of like jujitsu. You don't want to go against the energy. That's kind of karate, and chop, chop, here you go. That's very Mars. But overall, we're trying to go with the energy. And so, going back to Tesla's work, where if you have the network in resonance, you have a magnifying type of effect on the energy. And that's exactly what we're going to propose here. So getting in alignment with the stars, clearly, to me, you could go into Aquarius, but that doesn't include both days. I think the best is to get into Taurus because the moon is just entering that on Monday, Sidereal Taurus. Remember, Taurus is a little bit bigger than a bigger constellation, and that's why its size is bigger, represented here. So getting in tune with Taurus means that it has its risks, and that risk is dogma. And so I think the highlight here is because the energy in the collective unconscious, it clearly is dogmatic. It's very religious. It's very idealistic. And so let's go into Taurus because there's a positive side to this, because Taurus can be very practical, very reasonable, rational, very supportive. They can be very, very grounded. And that's where we get into this dogma thing. When you get too grounded, then we start to stand our ground and you get bullheaded and you start, butting heads with everybody that you see, and you get stubborn and all that. And you don't want to get materialistic. That's what Taurus is. So Taurus is love to get into the real life, love the finer things in life, but love to be practical and realistic. And realistic is far different than standing my ground and being dogmatic. All right, so let's look at the solutions in a little bit more detail. This is for the NDC, the National Dream Center social media tomorrow. Two bulls fighting. That's what the collective influence is right now. It doesn't mean we go away from Taurus. It means we go to the positive side of Taurus, which when Taurus is the antidote, get realistic and supportive. That's the good side of Taurus, but lose the dogma. Okay. And then intervention, it's homing in on this headbutting. Do see the world practically, be realistic and supportive, and don't be bullheaded and dogmatic. Don't start fights. Don't be stubborn. All right. And if you all see something different in the DreamBot, I absolutely welcome your comments. And if you see something in the astrology, please comment below. And I really do appreciate everybody's participation here. And I'm glad that at least some of you are experiencing some positive effects from these CIRF reports. I enjoy knowing what the stars are doing and what kind of energy is produced. And I personally basically doing the CIRF reports for myself and my family. And I'm glad you're around for the ride. And so anyway, we'll see you on Tuesday. Could be another late one on Tuesday, but really looking forward to how the collective unconscious changes after this really undeniable dogma that's being presented. So anyway, enjoy your Taurus time for a couple days. It's kind of new. We haven't really enjoyed a whole lot of Taurus so far. We've done some other earthing signs, but I think this might be the first for Taurus. So anyway, good practice for you. Good practice on being supportive and practical. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you later.